late.
Problem. So I hit my imaginary gavel. The meeting will come to order. The time is now 11:08 a.m. on Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. This is a special meeting of the District of Columbia Commission on the Arts and Humanities. The purpose of this meeting is the consideration of fiscal year 2022 Facilities and Buildings Relief, FAB-R, proposed grant guidelines as recommended by the Grants Committee. No other business will be conducted or considered at this meeting. Notice of the meeting was posted on the Commission's website, dcarts.dc.gov, and on the DC Office of Open Government's Central Meetings calendar. My name is Reggie Van Lee, Chairperson of the Commission. I will now call the roll. When you hear your name, please answer present. Stacy.
Present.
Cora. Maggie.
Present.
Juanice. Rona.
Present.
Alma.
Present.
Natalie.
Present.
Kimber. Marianne. Mariah. Cece.
Present.
Carla. Hector.
Present.
Jose. Gretchen.
Present.
Derek. And we do have a quorum.
Juanice just joined.
Oh, welcome, Juanice. A quorum is present. This is a meeting of a public body held in open session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, DC Law 18-350, DC Official Code 2-571, 2-580. The meeting is being conducted remotely using the Cisco WebEx virtual meeting platform as being live streamed to the Commission's YouTube channel. An electronic recording of the meeting will be available for viewing online following the conclusion of the meeting. I will now read the land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived in this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people. We pay respect to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths as any and all public events, and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. With that reading, I will turn the agenda to the Grants Committee and Gretchen.
Good morning, everybody. Again, thank you for joining us right before Thanksgiving. Really appreciate your time on this. I want to give accolades to Kevin and to David, who have really worked hard on this, even including yesterday and last night and half the night. So finally, I think we have something that's understandable for everyone. You are not voting on an actual grant that's being issued. You're voting on the grant proposal. You're voting on the issuance of the grant application, not on the grant and the recipients as we usually do. We did this last year because it is a relief grant, which is apart from our traditional grants. So we do need the board to agree that this is the type of relief grant that we're going to issue. I'm going to go over the memo. Jeff, are you operating the screen? Can we put the proposal up? Oh, and that's expanded a little bit. This is what everybody received last night. I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to review it, but I'm going to quickly read, not quickly, but I'm going to read through it just in case some of you did not get a chance to look at it. It says under DC Code 39-205, 17% of CAH's annual budget is allocated to the Facilities and Buildings Program supporting arts and humanities capital projects. Under that code, additional FY22 legislation further allows support for rent and mortgage expenses of DC arts and humanities spaces and home offices. For those of you who might be new, we really fought hard to get rent and mortgage included in this legislation, and we were successful in doing it. Considering this, CAH staff recommends allocating funds to renew the Facilities and Buildings Mortgage and Relief Grant. We call it FAB-R versus FAB-T, which is the traditional FAB grant that was already issued. This program would continue providing emergency support to DC nonprofit arts and humanities organizations recovering from the ongoing effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Building on FY21 cycle, the FY22 program would follow accordingly. In FY21 FAB traditional was $2.9 million. For FY22, we have $4.3 million. The relief part of FY21 was 1.6, and we estimate that FY22 is 1.0. We say estimated because remember our funding is dependent upon the sales tax revenue. So hopefully in the next month, it may go up a little bit, but right now we're looking at 1 million. So for FY21, the total for FAB, traditional and relief, was 4.5. This year it'll be 5.3, maybe a little bit more, but we won't know for another month or so.
So Gretchen, excuse me, someone may want to ask the question, why do we think it'll be less this year than last year? I know it's based on the tax and that sort of stuff, but is there an explanation why the traditional number went up, but the relief may go down from last year?
Well, it's down right now. It may go up again.
It's based on a forecast, and
Yep.
so those are the numbers we work with just for now. And as the collections happen over time, we'll have a sense of whether that's going to change.
When is the
Okay.
next update for revenue?
What we have right now is what we're using for. I don't know. That's actually, I want to say September was the last one that was shared for the budget formulation period.
Mhm.
So it might be, it's a quarterly, maybe, and you know, I can check. I don't know the answer to be.
This is Hector. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
In fiscal year 21, the traditional was 2.9. In fiscal year 22 is projected to be 4.3. That's still money that is given to the, I mean, that is part of the tax portion that is given to the commission. However, that assumes also that there's going to be a significant increase in the amount, because if it's based on, if it's 17% of the total money allocated, would that assumes a very large increase, wouldn't it?
So Hector, if I can jump in. So
Yeah.
the 4.3 million is actuals. So last month the commission approved 48 awards to FAB traditional amounting to $4.3 million.
Okay.
And Kevin probably has more accurate information. We had fewer applications to FAB traditional last year because folks were dealing with the very immediate need of staying open rather than renovating things. And so this year there's sort of a bounce back. We had more applications. We had a larger number of panels and so on. So we issued $4.3 million last month for FAB traditional. And so the estimated balance is the $1 million that we would use.
Okay, but the question still remains, is it more than the 17% of the annual budget?
No, this
No.
$5.3 million that you see for FY22 is 17% of our grants budget for the year. And because, as Haran said, our budget could increase, the dedicated tax revenue could get higher than anticipated. So all the categories, the GOS category, the facilities and buildings, humanities, DC, and so on, could all see an increase. So later in the year, we will look, once we have about half of the year under our belts, we'll have a better sense of how income is trending.
Okay.
If it's trending up, then we'll start looking at enhancements and other relief packages to make sure we're spending the money.
Okay.
Now remember, Hector, I'm sorry, just remember, we're not talking calendar years, we're talking fiscal years here.
No, I know that. Yeah.
All
I
right.
understand that. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions so far? Okay, let's start with the overview. And whoops. Okay, in FY21 cycle, CAH funded 80 organizations with an average award of $20,000. 1/4 of the grantees were first-time CAH grantees, and many have since applied for other CAH grants, which is phenomenal. FAB-R was designed to be the lowest possible barrier of entry to CAH. The guidelines are 7 pages long, and funding is decided on objective pass-fail criteria. 7 pages sounds like a lot, but believe me, it's not compared to some of the guidelines that we have, and we're going to be working on those as we go through grants revamp. Okay. The schedule is announcing that FAB-R opportunity ASAP, which is the reason we're having this meeting today, once the DC required notification of funding availability allows, ideally by December 2021. FAB-R awardees would ideally be announced in February, which is great because remember, we're just starting the fiscal year in October. No match awards would cover 100% of an organization's FY22 rent or mortgage up to $30,000. Who can apply? DC nonprofit arts and humanities organizations. These organizations, we hope later on we'll be able to do a relief grant for individuals, but this is just for the organizations right now. With anticipated FY22 rent or mortgage or equivalent expenses in an effort to, in an effort to equitably distribute limited FAB funds, the FAB-R program would exclude grantees already receiving over $100,000 in FY22 FAB-T funds. If you looked at the note that I sent this morning, the accompanying note with this, last year, I think it was, what was it, 60? It was 60,000 last year, but some of our new small organizations did apply. So we thought we didn't want to kick them out. So we increased the target to 100,000, which would still make them good applicants for this particular award. If we left it at the lower number, it would knock some of them out. Next.
I have a question about the individual versus organizations. So am I correct that last year we did give some individual relief money out?
Absolutely.
And the reason we're not doing it this year is because?
We just haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In the next maybe month or so, am I right, David? There's probably going to be at least another 2 or 3 grants that we'll be getting through.
Yeah, yes, we're anticipating some sort of organizational enhancement awards and then also a relief program for individuals. So.
Right.
And last year, Reggie, we issued, it was 280 individual awards, and each of them were for $5,500.
Good. So almost $1.5 million, something like that?
Close to it.
Yeah.
And,
Good.
and David, was the timing the same in terms of the cycle of giving those grants for individuals?
No, that's a really good question. The cycle was slightly later. I'm sort of being a little bit pushy in trying to get it out earlier. If we push grants out in the, as late as the summer, we oftentimes run into issues, grantees having issues around clean hands, compliance, and then we end up with a bunch of payment issues at the end of the year. So my rough timeline is, pushing FAB-R out now, looking at an organizational enhancement package in the winter, and then relief grants for individuals in the spring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad Reggie raised the question because as you all know, the need is very acute, particularly for individual artists, many that I've heard from. So I just want to register that anything that we can do to expedite those relief dollars would be very helpful, obviously.
Yeah, no, point taken, Maggie. One of the nice things is that if we push it out in the spring, again, we have a better sense of our overall income for the year. And so we can actually increase those dollar amounts. So in FY20, for example, the relief grant for individuals, they were $2,500 awards. And then this past year, as I said, they were $5,500 awards. So in waiting a little bit longer, we can actually potentially increase the dollar amount. it's sort of a, you know, trying not to spend too much money in advance of accruing it, and trying to find that sweet spot. So, but we do want to push grants out sooner rather than later.
Any other questions so far?
Are we going to have the same application, Gretchen, or is it going to be a simplified one?
Well, it'll pretty much be the same one. It was, I think, about the same length last time, right, David? About 7 or 8
Yeah, it was relatively, it was pretty short. You know, the application is very, very simple. The guidelines, as Gretchen said, are 7 pages, but the application is a 2 page document at, you know, at most of which is sort of, you know, name, address, that type of thing.
Are you going to have clinics and available to office time for people to call in if they need help?
So I'm going to let Kevin weigh in because he's been taking the lead on this. So.
Yeah. Kevin's the grant manager for this particular grant. Kevin, are you around?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Good morning. Yes, we're planning on clinics. Absolutely. They, you know, the last year the relief effort that went out, as people are referencing, for the individual support, had a number of clinics that were extraordinarily helpful. And so we haven't solidified the dates yet, but we're planning on having several of those available for folks.
Other questions? Okay, the recommended adjustments for FY22 are to decrease the maximum award from $40,000 to $30,000, noting the smaller anticipated program budget. If for some reason we end up with more, we can always add to that. But right now we're going with the safe number, which is 30.
And that's again so that we can give more to more people.
Absolutely. Yes. Allow applicants to apply for 100% of expenses. Now, 100% of expenses is rent and mortgage expenses, according to the legislation. It's not to include utilities or things like that. It's rent and mortgage. Formally incorporate home office eligibility based on applicant's 2021 or 2022 Form 1040 and the accompanying Schedule C and the IRS Form 8829. The Grants Committee had so much discussion around this. We didn't know what a Form 8829 was until Kevin explained to us that is the form that demonstrates expenses for business use of your home. So we are going with what the IRS tells us to do on this one.
Gretchen,
Yes.
Gretchen, can we change the word "your" to the applicants?
Where are we?
Take out the personal pronoun.
Oh, good point. Kevin?
So is that, sorry, on the name?
Oh, sorry, no, that's actually the formal name of that form. Expense for business use of your
Under
home.
the name of the 8829?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Almas, were you referring to 8829?
I'm sorry, do I support what?
I'm saying, if you're referring to expenses for business use of your home, that's in quotes. We should have put that in quotes. That's actually the name that's on Form 8829 that's put on there by the IRS.
Yes, I support that if the IRS uses it.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll make sure we put that in quotes so we know that that's their language. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. And then request applicant's expense summary sheet and highlighted leased mortgage agreement to expedite the staff review time and the award disbursement. So many times when you're doing these awards, people will send in part of the information. The staff has to call and try to get the right documents in order to approve the application. So we're asking for all of these things specifically in the grant application. So hopefully that will help expedite it. Questions? That's pretty much the summary of the FAB-R grant that we are proposing. So at this time, I would like to ask the commissioners to accept this proposed FAB-R grant FAB-R grant proposal.
Propose to accept?
Second,
I will now take the roll. Stacy,
Yes.
Cora, Maggie,
Yes.
Juanice, Rona,
yes.
Alma,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Kimber, Marianne, Mariah, Cece,
Yes.
Carla.
Yes.
Is that Cece or Carla? I think
That
that
was
was Cece. Good. Carla, Hector,
Yes.
Jose, Gretchen,
Yes.
Derek. It passes. Well, we thank you. Good job. Good job to the Grants Committee and to the staff. Thank you so much. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Don't eat too much turkey. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Wonderful trip,
Happy
Reggie.
Thanksgiving,
Thank
everyone.
you. Take care.
Take care.
Thank
Thanks.
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Cheers.